Okay, hi and welcome back to my channel. I'm the Puzzle Master, and in this video I'm going to talk about zodiac oppositions and how that has to do with like romance and love compatibility in people. Because the zodiacs are actually like a deeply psychologically linked concept. Like, it's not just an art, there is a science to it that is repeatable. And it's just because it's a psychological aspect in people that it's not something so physically tangible that it's, to this day, still heavily debated. But there's so many books on it, and when you actually like start to know the stuff, you'll notice patterns in it. And yeah, so I'm going to start with the first opposition, which is Aries and Libra. They're both male signs. Aries is ruled by Mars, and Libra by Venus. And Aries people are going to be very assertive, and they're the first sign, so they rush into things. So their Libra partner might notice that they tend to like make decisions without really thinking about them. Like, they have that cardinal energy, that just the ability to drive and go, go, go. But Libras are like the opposite, because they're the opposite sign in the zodiac wheel. And they'll kind of, like, each person will like the traits that the other person has because they don't have those traits. But that can mean good or bad, depending on other aspects in the chart, and things like that have to do with the relationship between the people. Like, there isn't just these signs in your chart, right? So if you had like Aries as your sun or your moon or your ascendant, you're going to have an attraction to Libra people that have the Libra as their sun, their moon, or their ascendant. And Libra is ruled by Venus, and they're all about balance and harmony. So as opposed to Aries, where they rush into things, Libras tend to overthink and analyze and balance, because they are the scales. And then the next one is Taurus and Scorpio. They're both female signs, and they're fixed. Taurus is ruled by Venus, and Scorpio is ruled by Mars. Taurus has kind of the materialistic value of the external world, and they are an earth sign, so they're very like laid back, down to earth. And Taurus, of all the three earth signs, is probably the most comfort-based one, and Scorpio is kind of the opposite, where Taurus doesn't like to make change. Scorpio rules transformation and change. And Scorpio is a water sign, so it's an emotional sign, but it deals with like secrets and things that are internalized, whereas Taurus deals with the more sensational physical world. So they have a opposition there, but they will find those traits attractive in the other person. And like I said with the previous signs, is that it depends on other elements in the chart whether or not the people are going to actually like have a good relationship or not. But those oppositions in charts will make people like drawn to each other because of character traits that the other people have that the one person themselves lack. And then Gemini and Sagittarius. They're both male, and Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and Sagittarius, Jupiter. Now, Mercury is the god of communication, and Jupiter is the god of like expansion and luck, and they like to travel a lot, Sagittarius people. Gemini maybe like to travel in the aspect of their mind, with words and thoughts and concepts, but Sagittarius, they might do that in an intellectual way, but more often than not, it tends to be in an externalized, the world kind of way. Gemini are very analytical. Some say detached, because it's an air sign. And Sagittarius is kind of detached as well, but in a different way. They're more of like to go out and about in the world, like they have to stay busy. Whereas Gemini do that in more of a mental way, like they could still, I don't know, sit and watch YouTube for like an hour or two and not be bored of it, whereas Sagittarius would be like, gotta get up and go, go, go. And they're mutable, meaning that they can like compromise, they can they can see different perspectives, and they can use those different perspectives as like outlets for gathering information. They both share this ability, but through Gemini or Sagittarius projections, it gets changed through those signs. And then I'll go on to Cancer and Capricorn. Okay, well, they're both female. Cancer is ruled by the moon, and Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Cancer is like one of the most lovey-dovey or mothering, because it's the only sign that's ruled by the moon, and the moon represents nurturing and healing and emotional, like empathy. And Capricorn can be just the opposite, where they can tend to be very work-oriented and strong-willed and determined and abrasive, or seen as harsh sometimes, whereas Cancers are seen as like soft and lovey-dovey. Capricorns are just the opposite, because Saturn rules like higher knowledge and education, and even though it brings with it high intelligence, it also has a detached nature, and Saturn rules Capricorn, and because that is in like the, well, since we're looking at the oppositions here, Cancer is like in the summer, and Capricorn is in the depth of winter, because they're in opposition on the signs. And then Leo and Aquarius. They're both male. Leo is ruled by the sun, and Aquarius is ruled by Saturn. And with this, I want to point out that Leo are very like heliocentric, and they like attention, and like me, and like, not that it's a bad thing, it's just they're good at it. They project that like energy. And Aquarius is just the opposite, where they don't need to be center of attention. Just being there in the group is enough. They can learn from it just in like a third person perspective kind of way. They don't actually have to be the one that's like fueling the gears of like the psychological drama that takes place in people. And like Aquarius would almost not like to be put on the spot. Like if there was a big group of people and you put them on the spot, a Leo would love that, but an Aquarius not so much. Yeah, and because the sun is, like, as I said, heliocentric, and Saturn is about higher education, so they're all about higher learning, and they can kind of, where Leo kind of lives in the world through people and relations, Aquarius kind of like live in their head, because they're an air sign, and of all the air signs, they're one of the most attached signs, whereas Leo is the most kind of clingy, like, because it's in the heat of summer. It's the only sign that's ruled by the sun, and it's the sun. And then Saturn rules higher education and higher learning, but it's it's like one of the outer planets. And then finally, with the last one, Virgo and Pisces. They're both female. Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and Pisces is ruled by Jupiter. And as I said before, Mercury is the god of communication, so Virgos are very communicative, and Pisces, ruled by Jupiter, are all about expansion and change and fluidity, because they're the fish swimming in opposite directions. So, and being the last of all of the zodiac signs, Pisces kind of represents completion of all of the other zodiac traits, so they actually contain a lot of traits that the other zodiacs have. So they're actually known as like the chameleon of all the zodiacs, because they can tend to mold themselves to be like what other people want them to be like when they're in a group or when they're in an individual situation. And it's not that they do it on purpose, it's just kind of in their nature. Whereas Virgo are the exact opposite of that, where they're going to stay true to who they are, and whatever your opinion is wrong. Like, I mean, not that like they might respect your opinion and leave and let you, like, they won't necessarily argue with about your opinion, but they're entitled to theirs, and they're not going to try to like be malleable in the sense where they're going to like conform to your ideas. They'll try to, in a positive way, give information back that shows how their view is correct. Whereas Pisces wouldn't like to argue so much. Like, obviously it depends on other elements in their chart, but they'd be more likely where Virgos would argue about something verbally. A Pisces, if they really just disagreed with something, would just kind of like silently disagree in their head, but like be like, mm-hmm. And yeah, and Virgos are very like analytical, and they can like see flaws in people, and it's not necessarily that they do it on purpose. It's just that they're very not necessarily visual oriented, but fact oriented. And if something is out of place, it's a fact that it's out of place. Because, you know, if the wind blew and screwed up your hair or something, they might just point it out because they're your friend and they want you to fix it because they're your buddy. They're not trying to, like, get you down. They're just trying to help you. Whereas a Pisces doesn't really care so much. Like, they're very, like, in their head, as opposed to Virgo being, like, analytical of the world. Pisces are very daydreamy, and it wouldn't really bother them if your hair was out of place. If anything, they would like that your hair is out of place because it shows that you don't really like have a self-complex, like an ego complex about yourself, and that would show radiance in your personality. But they'll be drawn to the opposite sign, as I said, and this can be either a really, really good thing or a really, really negative thing, because opposite signs have a lot to teach each other. And they, through that like magnetism and draw, that tends to happen in the world. So I hope that this video has been informative. Please like it and thumbs up and all that, and let me know your thoughts below. And thank you for your time. Bye.